Update. I was an accident, and after years of negligence, I told my family I wished they had terminated me or given me up for adoption. Original post. I was basically an accident. When I was born, my siblings were 16 male, 18 female, 20 female, 23 female, and my parents were both 46. I was never mistreated in my childhood, but I was neglected and my entire family resented me. My parents didn't really think that they would get pregnant again, but here we are. I was never really looked after for by anyone, and basically had to raise myself. No one ever really spent any time with me or played with me or anything when I was a kid. They didn't ever buy anything significant for me, just handed my siblings clothes and things. I realized this as I got older, so I focused on myself. My thought process at the time was that there was something wrong with me because my siblings were loved by them. So if I improved myself and did things for them, maybe then they would accept me and love me. I always got the best grades in school. My father was a football enthusiast and played in high school, but I was a basketball lover. But I still dropped it and took up football just to make him proud. I make sure I did all my chores readily, always kept my room clean, but nothing I did was ever enough for them. Like, for example, if I was first in class, my parents would ask me, why didn't I get a higher score? They ignored the percentile but focused on the percentage, and things like that. My siblings or parents never even bothered to show up for a single game. I was never appreciated for what I was, only detested me for what I wasn't. My siblings also did not allow me to hang out with them at any time at all. We celebrated my father's birthday yesterday. I am 16 today. My siblings did not live with us anymore and my mother had to leave early and would not return till later in the evening. So it was just him and me for the day, so I decided to serve him breakfast in his bed just as he woke up. I cooked and bought him a tie for a present. I know it's not the best present, but I was on a budget. Nothing too extravagant because I want to save as much money as possible for college, but it was definitely a smart one. I also cooked lunch for us and took care of all the chores. The most he could come up with was a pathetic thank you, and it was clear he wanted me to leave him alone, so I did just that. We all went out, siblings included, to a dinner, and the way these would go is that they would all have a good time and I would just sit in a corner. This is the case with almost all family dinners we have ever attended. We went back home and I don't know why. I really don't know what triggered it. But for some reason, I just started crying all of a sudden. Maybe it was them being so happy together. I don't know. And when they asked me what happened, I just blew up at them and told them how I felt about my entire childhood. How they never showed me any kind of love and affection among other things. I don't know exactly what I said, but I do remember I ended it by saying that I wish that they had gotten rid of me if they hate me so much. Or could have given me up for adoption so they could all live their lives without me. My eldest sister started to say something, but I just ran up to my room and closed the door. And went to sleep listening to some Hans Zimmer because they just kept knocking at the door. Early this morning, I went out my window and went to a secluded spot that I often go to, usually to play some guitar or just pace around listening to music or just enjoy the sound of nature. I'm sitting down here right now writing this on my phone at 4:30 a.m. and don't know what to do at all. I'm sorry if I just went out on a rant, but this is the first time that I am able to tell my childhood to anyone. Now, how exactly do I tackle this problem? I have pretty much given up on my family and have spent enough of my time trying to please them. Do I still try to form any kind of bond with them? Do I completely drop them off? What exactly is the best thing to do here? Now for the top advice before reading the update. Wow. This actually got me emotional. I can't imagine your pain. You are doing great in school and will soon be going to college. Do you think you can hold it together until then? Once you move out of college, you are on your own, man. Since you told them how you feel, they will try to make you feel better. If it feels genuine to you, go with it. If not, keep strong. Hold to yourself and keep going. Your life is worth living. You have great potential and you will excel. Try to focus on all that you want to accomplish in life now that you are done trying to please your family. Life gets so much better in college. You may even find that you make friends that become like family. Try to live on campus your first year. Being away will give you and your family time to process, and it may even heal your relationship with them. You'll no longer rely on them and will be able to forge your own path. I'd also encourage you to look into therapy once you get to college. Many campuses will offer a counselor for free. It sounds like you've never had anyone to talk to about this, and a therapist can really help validate everything you are feeling and help you process. Our experiences in early childhood can affect us in so many ways, and will no doubt affect the relationships you form with new people as a young adult. Starting to process what your family put you through as soon as possible will set you up to have healthier relationships outside of your family. Start living for yourself and take back your confidence. Rejoin basketball. Get excited about college by ordering the catalogs and envisioning where you might want to live and study. You can shadow careers, which I recommended doing ASAP. I can't tell you how many times I changed my major or how many people, including myself, wasn't a fan of the day-to-day job and wish they'd chosen something else. Focus on the future because I don't think your family can make up for 16 years, but I've also found that family gets closer when you move out. Thank you, and I have got a major in mind and have already started applying for colleges. I just hope that I can find a decent scholarship because I don't really want to depend on my parents' money. You might also want to look at getting legally emancipated once you are done with high school. Otherwise, the federal financial aid programs will require your parents' income information until you are 25, regardless of whether your parents will contribute. Your student awards are based on the assumption that they will, which means more loan debt that you would have to take on to cover it. Now for the update. First of all, I want to thank everyone for the amount of support that you guys have given. It was really overwhelming, and I can't express in words how much that meant to me. I was reading all the comments and everything till about 11 to 12, then decided to go home to face the family. I arrived home to quite a melancholic environment. As soon as I arrived, the first thing they all did was hug me, which honestly surprised me. This was probably the first time in years they were showing me any kind of affection. They had prepared some food for me, and after I ate, we all had a talk. My oldest nephew, 2 years younger than me, who often reads posts from the sub, saw it and showed it to my sister. They all first of all apologized for the way they treated me. They confirmed that I was an accident and none of them wanted to deal with another baby, and I basically ruined their life plans. They didn't word it this way. They didn't really want to do anything with me, so they just started ignoring me because I never seemed to need anything from them. Their reasoning was that I was always doing great in life. I always did my chores on time, kept my things neat and clean as a kid, always got good grades, never complained about anything, did great in sports, and they just assumed that I never required/wanted anything from them. So they were able to just keep ignoring me and pretend as if I wasn't there basically. They said that this didn't justify their behavior, especially after they read a post. They just wanted to explain their own actions. It just made it easy for them to ignore me. They all asked me to forgive them for alienating me, and they said that they would do their best from now on to make me feel as I was a part of the family. They then wanted to go out and celebrate my birthday, but I was just mentally and physically exhausted. So I just went to sleep, woke up in the evening, and just ended up playing games for the rest of the night and went back to sleep. I don't really know how to feel about this. I thought about it long and hard and decided I'll try to form some kind of bond with them if that's even possible. The one thing I'll do is trying to start to work and live for just myself right now. My priority is getting to college right now, and I'll mainly work towards that. If reconciliation doesn't work out, at least I have a goal and purpose in life to work towards until I get away from here. Thank you so much for helping me and supporting me through all this. If you guys have any further questions, please feel free to ask me, and once again, thank you. Just wanted to send you a huge fierce mom hug. You sound like an incredible and resilient person, and I hope you see your worth. You deserve better. I know you will achieve amazing things. Warmest thoughts and wishes. I wasn't there for your first post, so I just want to say I'm really sorry how things have gone the first 16 years of your life. No child should ever be put in your situation. With them at least admitting their faults, I would heavily suggest you push them to get you some individual, and if you're not comfortable, family therapy. I just want to comment, however, that I really dislike that they gave any sort of reasoning for their behavior past. We were selfish and acted selfishly. Especially when it puts a little of the blame on you. You were just easy to ignore. That is not true no matter how they try and justify it. It doesn't matter how much maintenance you require. A child who is fairly independent and self-sufficient will still get all the love and positive attention they need in a healthy family. The virtue of being your parent should have gotten you the love and attention required. You repeatedly tried to get their attention in a positive way that shouldn't have been needed. Put effort into learning your father's interests, made their birthday special, and many more acts, I'm sure, with no reciprocal acts. It's their own selfishness and only their selfishness that denied you. Please do not take their reasoning comments to heart. What probably ended up happening was your family had a hard look at themselves and thought, holy smokes, how did we let it get this bad? But because they probably don't think they're that bad a person to neglect a child for 16 years, they went with, well, if they truly needed help, we would have given it them. It is rude to say they would have done differently if you had acted differently. It shifts blame from their unacceptable actions to your behavior you did or didn't do. Preach. Of course, they blame it all on you. They're still being selfish and not just rude, but so callous. A teen who's remarkably in touch with his feelings finally pours his heart out to them, and all they can do is victim blame. And what if Opie hadn't been the perfect child? I shudder to think how he would have been treated because their love isn't even conditional. Yikes. Honey, I don't know how to say this in a kind way, so I'm going to just rip the band-aid off. I don't think they're sorry, and I don't think anything will change. My parents didn't want me either, but I was fortunate that my paternal grandparents fought for custody and won. I'm 33 now, and my mother hasn't spoken to me for nearly a year. Haven't heard from my father in about 3 years. They go through these phases, my mom especially, where they're so sorry they were cruel and absent. So sorry. They'll change, they'll do anything. But they never do. Apologies without behavior change are worthless. You do not owe them a place in your life just because they are your biological family. You need to decide what you want your life with, or without, them to look like, what behavior changes you want to see from them, and what you're willing to do if they refuse. I'm sorry, honey, but I just wouldn't put much stock in their response here. I'm definitely not going to be hoping for them to come around, and I am mentally preparing myself in case things don't work out. Basically hoping for the best and preparing for the worst, if that makes any sense. I'm not going to be the one to reach out. The ball is in their court, and this time they will be the ones who will have to make a move. Now for the last story. My dad's male 54 affair has ruined my view on my, female 22, entire family. In April 2021, while my sister, female 28, and mother, female 46, were in our home country for my mom's teeth issues, I was staying home alone with my dad, male 54. I have always loved my family. Despite having a weird gut feeling about my dad, I never knew what it was. I trusted him, but I always felt like something was off. And I think it had definitely something to do with my mother always complaining about his wrongdoings from the past. She never mentioned any cheating though. It was always about him sending money to his parents and not helping her raise us. I remember feeling resentful towards my dad for that reason and hoping they would separate. But she hadn't left him. Because according to her, he is the best father ever, and we're lucky to have a dad like him. But she would still very regularly talk bad about him to us, and tell us she doesn't care how my dad lives his life because she is independent or whatever. Anyways, back to the story. My mom and sister were in sad home country because of my mom's teeth. She got all her teeth removed. She had gum recession, and would have to go back in July to get new teeth. One day, while my dad and I were home, I was cleaning the kitchen and heard him talking on the phone on the balcony. I heard him and was curious who he was talking to because it sounded like an apology to someone. And I was thinking some family member asking him for money again. But then he was saying things like, "Of course I will introduce my children to you. My youngest, me, will finish university this year, so until then I have to financially support her. But I want a life with you. I also want to meet your children. I want to finally live my life the way I want to. I want to live with you because we share the same views on life. We're soulmates." I was absolutely stunned when I heard these things. I knew my dad wasn't a great partner, but I really never guessed that he would actually cheat on my mom. I had no idea what to do. I just couldn't confront him at that moment. I decided to talk to my sister about it when they were back. 2 days after that happened, my mom and sister came back and my mom was in the worst mental state I have ever seen her in. She had all of her teeth removed and the denture they made for her didn't fit her, but she had to travel back, so that meant she had to stay without teeth until July. She felt extremely ugly. Her confidence and self-esteem were non-existent. I told my sister about my dad having an affair, and I expected her to be shocked about it, but she seemed so normal. She later told me that since she was a kid, my dad always had multiple different girlfriends. When she was 6 years old, he even introduced her to one of his girlfriends and continued to have affairs. The last one she knew about was in 2012. After that, she moved out anyways. Apparently, my mom knew about them all and they would argue, but she would never leave. I was so shocked. I have lived my entire life not knowing any of that. I asked her why she never told me, and she said it was because I was young. I told her I wanted to tell mom about it, but she told me we should wait until she gets her teeth done because she really wouldn't be able to deal with it. I said alright, and then suddenly my dad is cheering her up, making her feel good about herself, and they're more loving than they were before. So we decided to drop it. After that, I moved out. It honestly was the best time of my life. I hate living at home. I can't stand it. I can't think of anything else but that. I am temporarily back home, but I will move out again to do my master's and work. Anything my dad does pisses me off. I hate whenever my mom talks good about him. I feel so betrayed because she always preaches independence and how men ain't it. and talks bad about almost everybody's relationship. And I also can't believe how my sister can still be so normal to my dad and act like nothing ever happened. I feel so gaslit and it is driving me crazy. I just don't know how to deal with this, but I think when I am away from them, I will feel better again. I would love advice from people who have been through something similar. Now for the advice. I am so sorry he is like this. This is a lot and probably above this form's ability level. Can you get to a therapist? It will help to have someone to talk all this out with who is also a pro. I think a therapist might really be the way to go. I've been thinking about it for some time but never got to do it. If she is aware of the affairs and says she doesn't care how my dad lives his life because she is independent or whatever, and if he is being supportive and loving to her when she needs it the most, maybe this is just a relationship they have worked out between themselves. Now is probably not the best time to raise it with your mom, but have you tried talking about it with your dad? I don't think I can have this conversation with him honestly. Back when I was younger, my sister talked to him about it apparently, but he just cried in front of her and told her he is sorry and would not do it again.